Welcome to the Chess Angle. In this episode, I am going to discuss why I think the book, The Amateur's Mind by I. M. Jeremy Silman is the best instructional book out there. Stick around. Okay, welcome to the Chess Angle. I am going to offer the belief and the opinion that the book, The Amateur's Mind, subtitled Turning Chess Misconceptions into Chess Mastery by I. M. Jeremy Silman, is the best instructional book out there. Now, of course, if you were to ask 10 different chess players what their favorite book is or the book that helped them the most, you'd probably get 10 different answers. So this is just my opinion. And what makes this book special is the way that he really taps into the mind of the amateur and the erroneous thinking processes. And it's just a very well-written book. So what he did, for those of you not familiar, he played games with his students, giving them a position where it was good for them. Like they had a good position to begin with, I should say. And while they were thinking, he had them talk out loud and share their thoughts. And he wrote this down, and he also had them annotate Grandmaster games and do the same thing, share their thoughts out loud. And what Silman realized was that his students possessed thinking patterns that were erroneous, but that he never imagined, they possessed. So they had all this wrong type of thinking, and, he had no idea. So what he did was he basically collected all of these thoughts from his students and turned it into a book. And it's absolutely fascinating to read. Now, Silman's philosophy is based on what he calls the imbalances. And his belief is that if you understand what these imbalances are, which are differences in the position, that you can pretty much play in any situation. And that's what the book centers around. If you look at any of his other books, they center around the idea of the imbalances as well. And here are what they are. So the first imbalance is minor pieces, which is the interplay between bishops and knights. The next one is pawn structure, okay, which encompasses doubled pawns, isolated pawns, backward pawns. The next one is space, okay, the annexation of territory on a chessboard. And then the next imbalance is material, owning pieces of greater value than the opponent's. Then he talks about files and squares, how files, ranks, and diagonals act as pathways for your pieces while squares act as homes, and that whole plans can center around the domination of a file or the creation of a weak square in the enemy camp. The next one is development, and the final one is initiative. And he talks about how development and initiative are temporary because the opponent can catch up. So to kind of review, his imbalances are minor pieces, pawn structure, space, material, files and squares, development, and initiative. And for every position in the book, he kind of goes through these. But again, his whole thinking is that if you understand this and what your responsibilities are, you can play any position. And that's a big thing with him. He talks about how too many amateurs just do what they want rather than what the board calls for. For example, you might want to attack, but the position doesn't call for it. And that's what gets you, into trouble.